Tonight on KGW News, some Bonneville power workers fired by the Trump administration get good news.
I had like 50, 60 people who were replying back to each other saying, hey, we're hired back.
Plus, the big discovery at the bottom of the Columbia that could solve a decades-old cold case.
This is the day that we've all dreamed about.
And the local Tesla dealership shot up overnight. Then, the KGW investigation into a string of similar thefts at dental offices.
It's very frustrating that they can just get in there and do that.
And later, Columbia Sportswear makes it to the moon?
There aren't many companies that can claim, they went from global to intergalactic.
How the Pacific Northwest retail giant kept a lunar lander warm on its journey through space. Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Christine Pitawanich. We start with a major update after mass layoffs at Bonneville Power Administration. Today, 80 probationary employees who were let go were told they were getting their jobs back. Catherine Cook spoke with their union president about how it all happened. Catherine, talk about some back and forth here.
Oh, absolutely, Christine. Some former employees got phone calls before the formal announcement this morning. That made for a lot of excitement, but also concern over false hope. But it's official now, with some employees set to return to work as soon as tomorrow.
His emails were going pretty crazy. I had like 50, 60 people who were replying back to each other saying, hey, we're hired back.
Mike Braden had to temper his excitement too, as he fielded the frenzy from some 80 BPA workers who lost their jobs last month. As their union rep, Braden had stayed in close contact with them amid widespread cuts across the federal workforce.
Management had been trying to negotiate with the Secretary of Energy, trying to get the jobs back for quite a while now.
On Thursday morning, it happened. A source familiar with the BPA tells KGW those 80 probationary employees were formally asked to return following an internal meeting. One BPA employee tells KGW there were tears of joy as they learned their fired coworkers were coming back.
Like today was supposed to be the last paycheck they were going to receive.
The Bonneville Power Administration owns and runs 75% of the high voltage transmission in the region and provides 30% of the electricity. Many fear cuts at the agency would spell disaster for its operations. Braden says everyone at BPA has endured an emotional roller coaster.
There were a couple people who said, I can't take it. There was one woman who said, I can't. I just moved to Washington State before she was let go and from Texas. And she just got a job back in Texas, and she had to move all the way back to Texas to take that job. And she goes, I can't move back.
But Braden says nearly everyone whose jobs were reinstated will be back by next week. Grateful, but still worried.
It's a scary prospect. We're going to be lucky from here on out. I'm afraid of the rest of the government. I don't know what's going to happen.
Braden says BPA is still severely understaffed. In addition to the layoffs, they also lost about 200 employees who accepted early retirement offers. He hopes the agency will get the green light to start hiring more people very soon. Christine?
Yeah, still so much uncertainty there. Thank you so much for your reporting, Catherine. Well, today protesters gathered outside the Tesla dealership in Tigard to protest Elon Musk and the controversial cuts that have come out of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. The protest came just hours after employees found shattered windows and bullet holes throughout the dealership this morning. Protesters told us it's unfortunate that the dealership was attacked and said that protests are supposed to remain peaceful.
We're trying to get our thoughts out there and let people know how we feel, but violence is never the answer.
Tigard police say the shooting happened around 1:45 a.m. At least 7 shots were fired and 3 cars were hit. Investigators have not yet released any suspect descriptions. And developing tonight, there has been a big break in a cold case from nearly 70 years ago. Back in December of 1958, a Portland family went missing after driving to the gorge. Investigators think their car has been found at the bottom of the Columbia River. The family, Kenneth and Barbara Martin, and their 3 daughters went to the gorge to gather greenery for Christmas wreaths. They never returned. Only the bodies of the 2 youngest children were found miles away from each other in the river the next year. Last year, diver Archer Mayo found the car at the bottom of the river and told authorities. Today, efforts to pull the car out of the water began. The diver says it's about 50 feet under the surface of the water and then 7 feet under the bottom of the river, encased in debris.
So I went down there and was able to kind of make a rope course for them to find the car because it's still under the ground. So it's really difficult conditions.
The Hood River Sheriff's Office says the Martin family case is still under a criminal investigation. But for now, they're focused on retrieving the car from the river and seeing what's inside. Let's get you caught up now on tonight's other headlines. One person is dead after a house caught fire in Kelso. It happened around 10:40 this morning along South 6th Avenue between Mill and Chestnut Street. When Cowlitz Fire and Rescue arrived, a single-story home was on fire, and there were reports that someone was trapped inside a detached garage. Flames were out in less than 30 minutes, but the man inside did not survive. Investigators think the fire was an accident and may have started from a portable electrical heater. The 3 adults and 2 children who lived in the home are getting help from the American Red Cross. A Multnomah County Sheriff's deputy is recovering after a suspected drunk driver crashed into his patrol car. The crash was breaking news last night at 11. It happened on eastbound I-84 near Cesar Chavez. The deputy had pulled someone over on the shoulder and was still inside his car when an SUV slammed into him from behind. The deputy and SUV driver were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. After he was discharged, 49-year-old Jose Alvarez from Beaverton was arrested and charged with DUII. And today, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson announced the city is expanding Portland's street response program to answer more calls, help police or fire in some situations, and shuttle people in crisis to shelters or service centers. Portland Street Response launched back in 2021 and is meant to help people in a behavioral or drug-related crisis. Mental health professionals and peer support specialists go to some emergency calls that police, fire, or an ambulance crew would have handled. Street Response is not involved if someone appears to be armed or violent. Okay, time now to check in with our chief meteorologist, Matt Zafino. Matt, I am so excited about our nice weekend.
Right, Christine, it's been a good run of weather and it's going to continue. Look at the sunset we had out at the Reserve Golf Course in Washington County. Just nearly a clear sky, just some scattered clouds along the horizon. That was that. So the cool nights and the warm days will continue through the weekend. And in fact, it gets even warmer over the weekend. Tomorrow we cool off a little bit, about the same as today, maybe a degree or 2 of cooling. But then warmer weather rolls in this weekend. I'll show you how warm in a bit. And then rain late Sunday night. But that'll be fairly fleeting. It's not going to last that long. Spills over into early Monday morning. By the Monday morning commute, I think we're done with that. Tomorrow, though, looks great. 35 in the morning, 49 at noon if you want to have lunch outside. And then getting up to 58 in the afternoon tomorrow. Notice our sunrise at 6:37, sunset at 6:06. But a couple days from now, that changes as we return to daylight saving time. And that means the sunrise will be an hour later, pushed back to 7:30. But the sunset will also be an hour later. We'll have post 7 o'clock sunsets beginning on Sunday. We'll let you know what those first sunsets of daylight saving time will look like in a bit. Christine?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Matt. Hey, take a look at this. 2 people escaped serious injury after their car went off an Oregon highway into a swollen river. Look at that. It happened last night on Highway 126 in Lane County, east of Springfield. The Coast Guard was called in to rescue one of the people inside, a 71-year-old woman. You see them there lowering a rescue swimmer down from a helicopter to pull her out. Fortunately, she was not hurt. The other occupant actually got to the shore themselves through the 45-degree rushing water. And it appears the car got stuck on a rock ledge in the middle of the water after it went off the road. For the first time ever in a TV interview, Idaho mom and convicted killer Lori Vallow is talking about the murders of her 2 children. It's a case that gripped the entire country. In Friday's Dateline, NBC's Keith Morrison sat down with Vallow from prison. Here's a preview of that extensive interview.
You're the most hated mom in America.
I heard that.
Are you misunderstood?
Absolutely.
We met Lori Vallow at a women's jail in Maricopa County. You remember the case, right? Who can forget it?
The media loves to take tragedies and turn them into crimes. I had a lot of tragedies in a row.
Perhaps she would finally tell us why. Why her children are dead, and her ex-husband and her lover's wife.
Are you keeping track?
Oh, yeah. Were all those awful events launched by a bit of pure chance? Or maybe something far more intentional? I'm asking you a question. Did you watch your children die?
That's a really sad question.
You've made the decision to meet me for an on-camera interview because...
You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith. What I tell you will be the truth.
Wow. So Lori Vallow Daybell, the jailhouse interview airs tomorrow in a special 2-hour Dateline right here on KGW starting at 9 p.m. That is, of course, just ahead of KGW News at 11.